Hey there, folks. Happy Wednesday. I hope you all had as beautiful of a day as I did. If you didn't, let's start over. Just pretend like you're starting the day over and enjoy the rest of your day. We are going to go ahead and jump in to today's topic. If you saw this post previously, then you know that today's topic is all about the first step to getting started with health writing. But it's actually about the real first step to getting started with health writing. It's not going to be the, start a blog or practice or that kind of thing. It's like the step before that you actually have to take before you can really get a solid entry into health writing. And so to introduce this step, which is actually broken out into like step 1A and step 1B. So to introduce these steps, I'm going to tell you a little story. And I think you'll find this story relatable if you have kids or if you have kids in your family or are around small babies a good bit. So my youngest child is 18 months old. She'll be 18 months old this month. And as we have been in the house for the past year, I find myself reflecting on where she was this time a year ago. And around that 6-month mark for her was when we went into lockdown, when the pandemic started. And I think about that stage often because that 6 to 9 month period for babies is like my favorite baby phase. I have an older son who is 4 years old, and between the both of them, that 6 to 9 month period is always my favorite because, as you know, babies at that stage, they're active. And they can engage with you and with the world, but they're not mobile yet. So they can't get into trouble. They can't get into things. They can't mess things up. But they're really playful. And so they're lots of fun. But as you know, if you're around babies a good bit, babies have different priorities and different developmental they approach different phases of development at different ages. And so at 6 to 9 months, they just want to play with you. They just want to be engaged. But older babies, they want more autonomy. So at 12 months old, my daughter started wanting to follow me into the kitchen. She started wanting to move from the left side of the room to the right side of the room. She started wanting to be able to play with her brother more actively. She needed a different set of skills to be able to do those things at 12 months than she needed to be able to, just be able to lay there and play at 6 to 9 months. She needed a different set of skills, and then she also needed to be confident in that set of skills. So that brings me to steps 1A and steps 1B that you really need to embrace and take confidently before you can get started in health writing. And those are 1A, you need to determine your goal. So when you approach me and you say, hey, Megan, I see, how you've built your company Stock Rose, your health content marketing company. I want to learn how I can do that. My first question is going to be, well, what is your goal? Is your goal to be a health writer for fun? To be a hobby, to pass the time, to have something to do? Is your goal to start a side hustle and make a little income on the side? Is your goal to create a full out business in health writing? Is your goal to build your background in writing so that you can get a full-time job with a health communications agency? What is the goal that you're actually trying to achieve? Because saying that you want to get started in health writing is actually not specific enough if you want to make the most intentional moves possible. So that's step 1A, is you have to determine your goal. Step 1B is that once you make a decision about what your goal is, and if that decision is that your goal is to make a side hustle or a complete business of health writing, then at that point, you have to make the decision you're going to do it. You have to commit to learning despite whatever discomfort you might encounter, and you have to get out of your own way. Because in a lot of cases, we are the people who are standing directly in the way of what we are trying to do and trying to accomplish. And if that's something that you can relate to, because I know I personally can, feel free to let me know in the comments. But these are the two things that you have to do before you can actually move forward and get started with your health writing journey, whatever that journey is going to look like for you. So going back to that baby analogy, and let me know in the comments if you're understanding this analogy, this story that I'm telling about babies. But going back to that analogy, when my daughter progressed to that 12-month stage where her priority was no longer just laying there and playing with her activity mat, but her priority was being able to get up and play with her brother or get up and follow me into the kitchen, her approach had to change. Initially, she was not confident. She didn't have the experience of getting up and crawling or getting up and walking. She was overwhelmed, and so she would cry because she felt incapable of doing it. She felt frustration. What happened, though, when she kept trying and she finally got out of her own way and she felt confident in taking that first step, is that she was able to take that first step. And then after that first step comes the next step. And then at some point you're walking, right? So she succeeded and she learned how to walk. She reached her goal of being able to get from point A to point B. But she wouldn't have been able to do that if her priorities didn't shift and if the action she was taking, i.e. getting out of her own way, did not support that priority. So for you, if you are a health professional who's interested in pursuing health writing as an additional stream of income, as a way to help fight health misinformation online, you have to decide that that's your goal, and then you have to get out of your way and go for it. Now, I know that if you are in direct patient care, like a lot of us are, I'm a pharmacist and I didn't come from direct patient care, but a lot of my friends did, a lot of my colleagues did. When I talk to a lot of y'all in the messages, a lot of you are in direct patient care currently. And so I know that it can be scary and it can be intimidating to kind of step out of that world and think about doing something else, because in a lot of cases, that's all you know. That's all you've been trained in, all you've been exposed to professionally. But I think it's important to take that excitement that you feel when you hear about something different, take that enthusiasm that you have about the prospect of being able to educate a wider audience of people through health communications, through health writing, through health content marketing, and harness that into energy that helps you get over that feeling of fear. It helps you get over that feeling of being a little intimidated by the unknown. Because what you have to understand is that even though you haven't been in that space before, even though you may have never written before, that doesn't mean you're incapable. That just means you need to get more practice doing it. You are capable and you are qualified because you're a health professional. You already have the background knowledge you need to be able to educate an audience of various types of people on disease states, on medications, on patient care. You have that knowledge inherently as a health professional. Are there gaps? Of course, but there are always gaps. So let's think back to major transitions in your life historically, right? So high school to college, major gap. Even as a 12th grader in high school, a senior in high school, the prospect of becoming a freshman in college, there was a major gap there. There was probably fear there. There was probably anxiety there. But you were able to make that transition successfully because you had the prerequisite knowledge to be able to make that transition. Same thing with college to whatever your health professions training program was. Same thing with going from that program to a residency if you did a residency. Same thing from going from a residency into full practice. There's always going to be a gap between where you are now and where you want to go. But that doesn't mean you don't have the foundational knowledge, the foundational training and preparation that you need in order to make that transition. That just means that you're going to need additional education, additional training, additional coaching and mentorship to help you make that transition. So for a health professional who's interested in using health writing for an additional stream of income and to help fight health misinformation online, it's the same thing. You have the prerequisite knowledge as a health professional. What you need is the training, the education, the experience, and the coaching to make that transition. Does that make sense? I hope what I'm saying makes sense. Let me know in the comments if it does, especially if you're watching live and even if you're watching on the replay, because I can still see all of those comments. So I think that what I want you guys to take away from this particular video is that when we become adults, And as we even age into adulthood, I think we become even more intimidated by learning new things because we've been in one particular space for so long. But in a lot of cases, it's nothing external that is preventing us from learning that new thing. So for you, that new thing may be health writing, right? That's what I talk about. So that's probably why you're here, is to learn how to get into health writing. So for you, the thing that may be causing you a little bit of anxiety or fear or, feelings of being not experienced enough or not capable enough, that can cause us to feel intimidated by trying to learn more about that space. But what I want you to realize is that other health professionals who are doing non-traditional health-related things, for example, health writing, they are not anomalies. We are not anomalies. We are not special. We are not different from you. The difference, and this is a very minor difference, is that we've had the training, experience, and coaching to help us make that transition. That same training, experience, and coaching is also available to you. I just don't want you to feel pigeonholed into a specific area or discouraged from pursuing health writing because you feel like you're not capable or qualified. I want you to walk away from this video understanding that you are capable and you are qualified. And when you take that first step, 1A, which was what? Determining your goal and deciding whether that goal is to be a health writer for fun or to educate people or as an additional stream of income or some combination of the above. When you decide on that goal and then you get out of your own way so that you can make the moves you need to make to achieve that goal, that's what unlocks your version of whatever you consider to be your happily ever after. That's when you're able to reach whatever goals you've set for yourself and to accomplish those dreams. That ability to achieve those goals does not happen without setting the goal and then getting out of your own way to achieve the goal. So that's what I want to leave y'all with today. If you want to talk more about getting out of your own way, building an additional stream of income through health writing, learning how to fight health misinformation online through health writing, you can feel free to watch the previous videos on my LinkedIn account, to shoot me a message to talk more about what your specific goals are, and to learn more about the Health Professionals to Health Writers program. More details about that specific program will come in later weeks. I do these lives every Wednesday at 5:45. And so more details will come in later weeks. But if you're interested in learning more now or just trying to figure out what your goals are, because in a lot of cases, you just might not know, right? I do understand that sometimes there is a knowledge gap, and that's what I've been trying to help fill over the past 2 to 3 months. And so if you have questions about health writing, health content marketing, what that actually means, what your goals are with health writing and whether the Health Professionals to Health Writers program might be right for you, I'm always open to chat in the messages. So feel free to leave me a message there, and I will see you all next week at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time back on this channel. And I hope y'all have a good one.